members of our Congress, you will always have within our government those that are above the law. Hey, it's me. And are we seeing the collapse of the climate change religion? And I say that because if you look at the collapse of ChocoCare, which led to many votes for President Trump in the Rust Belt, for example, you notice that it's all about the tax. So the whole ChocoCare depended on people being forced to pay a tax to pay for healthcare for all these other people out there that can't afford healthcare. But if you look at climate change, you have two things. One is the fable, the religion. The other thing is what it really is, and that is the new socialist model, a way to tax people and companies, and it's a disguise, right? It's carbon taxes. We got to save the environment, so we have to tax people for polluting, and we're going to save the earth. But they're also taxing people with fuel taxes, and that's what led to the Paris rioting. Socialists getting angry about socialist policies they've been supporting for years, because people love to support polar bears, and of course you want to save the earth, right? I mean, what? Are you like a crazy man? You want the earth to go to hell? So they have a hook, but it's really what comes afterwards that is the failure every time. With ChocoCare, they have the hook, healthcare for everyone, and you can choose your doctor. Right? Remember all the choco lies? Well, these are fables. So you have the religion, you have the fables, but when reality hits, it's always about taxing people, not just corporations. And even when you tax corporations, in the end, it's the people that end up paying for it. And so if you look at climate change, first of all, they had to change it from global warming to climate change because the data was not supporting global warming. So they changed it to climate change, which we call the weather. I mean, it's the weather. But it would be kind of stupid if they call it the weather, right? We're going to tax you because of the weather. But okay, climate change. And so anything that changes in the climate, they can accuse companies of pollution and causing it. And it's a way to get people in line and to support socialist policies. And they found a way. Because if you start with class warfare, maybe, it doesn't really work anymore. I mean, that's like the 1800s and Karl Marx. But if you start talking about, hey, you can save the planet, you get a lot of young people to support you, women. They're like, of course, I want to save the polar bears. But then the reality is that you're going to get taxed to hell. And climate change really depends on the carbon taxes, just like ChocoCare depended on the forced tax. And that's when reality hits even socialists. And you could say that if Choco didn't do the ChocoCare, then you wouldn't have had the problems, and that would have meant many votes less for President Trump. And you could also say that if climate change didn't depend on taxing all these people for the fuel, then you wouldn't have had the riots. That's why they quickly canceled it, because they're trying to save climate change as a socialist model. And so what they'll end up doing is taxing people later in another way, or taxing corporations even more. So again, socialist policies always fail. It doesn't matter what kind of a story they come up with, what kind of a hoax or a scam or a religion type construct, it always ends up being taxing everybody, not just companies, taxing everyone, and then taking that money and kind of, putting it out there for more socialists to get power. It's kind of like the Borg. They have to keep on eating planets or whatnot. and it's about building power. But then when they get power, they don't really know what to do with it. They just want to accumulate even more power. So socialism is really something that gets a lot of people interested because they use these kind of hoaxes or fables, things that appeal to the common man, or in this case, young people. You're going to save the earth, right? Everybody wants to save the earth. And it's a hook. They really need a hook. Socialism needs a hook. But then, in the end, all they have is taxing people, accumulating money. And that's why you always see these socialist elites. I mean, they're buying mansions and cars, and they're living large, real capitalists, smoking cigars. And it's really like Animal Farm. And then poor people get even more poor. Because what many of the smarter politicians always said was that at some point, socialists run out of other people's money to spend, and then they don't know what to do. So they don't have any real plans of, increasing the pie of the economy, let's say expanding the economy. They have no clue. It's always about taking the pie that's already there and then just dividing it up and whatnot. And so President Trump is not having it. He's not going to grow the economy only to see socialists, after he leaves, take all the money and spend it all and, bring the country to a standstill again. So he's going to make sure that, we keep on growing, that there's something put in place that makes our economy expand, and it will keep on expanding. So the best thing is to prevent these socialists from getting power. That's all I can say. And if you look at individual states, you can see what all these taxes do. Half of New York moved to Florida. Then Florida starts increasing taxes. Then in the end, everybody's going to move to Kansas, and that's what you're seeing. That's why a lot of these states are turning from red to purple, then blue. It's because people are leaving California. They're leaving New York. And these are the most liberal states, so they have very high taxes. And people don't want it. Again, we're talking about liberals not wanting to pay these enormous taxes. But these are the policies that they've supported. These are the politicians they voted for. But then when reality hits, they're moving out of their states. And they want socialism for the whole nation, but they themselves don't even understand what the hell they're doing. And so that's what you saw in the Choco years, and that's what you're seeing in France. Everywhere socialism is put in place. Look at Venezuela. I mean, it's a disaster. The whole global warming or climate change industry or religion has other problems as well. The scientific data doesn't match with everything that they're saying. They're always saying a consensus. Yeah, of course, if you take people that agree with you, scientists, and you get as many as possible, then you can say, hey, the scientific community agrees with global warming, climate change. And many of them do it because they get grants from the UN or the EU or the Choco regime. Of course, if you're going to get $1 million for your little lab or your little company, or you're building solar panels, you're getting 300 million from Choco, then of course you're going to say, yeah, I believe in climate change, yeah, now give me the money. And that's why you even see scientists deleting data, editing data, coming out with fake graphs. It's because of the money. And I guess it's human nature. I mean, I could be here on YouTube and, praise Q and praise Trey Gowdy and, praise a lot of numbnuts and come out with a lot of fake news. But why? I mean, if somebody gave me $100,000 right now, maybe I would do it. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm certainly going to do it and then have a side channel You know, like I was saying it and my fingers were crossed the whole time. I didn't mean it. And you know, laugh at the idiots that gave me the money. But the truth is that a lot of people, you know, their job is media and they will do it. In the same way, these people that are in science and getting grants, they will go along with it. They're like, yeah, I believe in climate change, of course. And a lot of people are getting very rich off of this hoax. Al Gore, look at the guy. I mean, he's a multimillionaire. It's amazing how much money these people can get. And it's sad, in a way. And when you see the religious aspect of it, the climate change ministers, and they really feel like they're saving the earth. And they're really into it. Just like those Q people online are really into it. And secret signals, and it's like a devotion that is abnormal. And it really goes against common sense, and that's why I really dislike it. Because, you know, we're human beings, we have common sense, and even if you have like the bare minimum intelligence, you can see it's all like a fraud and fake. But it seems to me that people are very willing to believe in something, and socialists are taking advantage of it. You know, the polar ice is melting, the polar bears are dying, people are starving in Africa because of climate change, and hey, here's a hurricane. Well, people's homes are being destroyed because of climate change. Why don't you want to help us? And you notice when these socialists are talking about it, the bad things are always going to happen like in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now. But the time to support them, to vote for them, to give them money, it's like now. Right now. We have to tax people now. And they're like, the North Pole will disappear. Half of the USA will be flooded. Vote for me. Or give us the money. And that's how these scams work. And it's sad. A lot of people get caught up into it because there's a lot of peer pressure, right? Why does something like Q attract people when it's such nonsense? It's because it's seemingly everybody's doing it. And so they even make up stuff like Trump likes Q, or he made some hand signals. And when people feel like everybody's doing it, then they have to get in on it, and they stop thinking. And that's human nature. You know, you have the same thing with Michael Obama book sales. They put out fake news about that it's the most popular book ever in nonfiction and sold 3 million. Of course it's not true. Of course it's not true. But if people read that, hey, wow, this book's really popular. Everyone's reading it. I have to read it too. And they stop thinking and just buy the damn book. And then, yeah, you create more sales by doing that. And so there's always something that plays to human nature, right? People want to protect the earth. People want to help somebody that's in critical need. Or people are greedy and want to make a quick buck. And that's how you get caught up in hoaxes and scams. And, you know, I could easily, very easily become a confidence trickster. And, you know, somebody doing hoaxes and scams and schemes, and set up, you know, GoFundMes and all of that. And yeah, I could lie to people and create all kinds of scenarios. It would be very easy. But, you know, to do it, you have to be a real scumbag. And so people that come up with climate change, these people are scumbags because they know they're lying. They know they're fooling people. They know what the real intention is, and it's ideological. It's socialism in disguise. And instead of saying, hey, we gotta, you know, make the whole world like some kind of a socialist utopia, or we gotta tax everyone, I mean, that's not popular. How many people will vote for you if you say that? You have to come out and you have to say climate change this, climate change that. And it's so sad because this appeals to young people. They even have cartoons now for little kids, and they start programming these kids so that later they're like climate change disciples. But what is that really? They're socialist disciples, and it's just another gimmick. I just wonder what the next invention will be for socialism down the line, because this climate change insanity, it's going to stop at some time. The Paris riots is just the start of the breakdown of this fable or this religion, because the data doesn't fit and reality is biting these people very hard. You know, you cannot hide that at some point you're going to steal from people and from companies to get as much money as you want, and then you have the power. And that's really what it's all about. And like I said, they don't have any real plans. They just want to accumulate power and money. That's all it is. And, you know, you have a lot of people that are easily influenced by that. But on the left, you really need a whole propaganda machine. Because if they didn't have the media in their pocket to such an extent, you know, these things would be debunked like in a week. Everybody would laugh at climate change ministers. But the media is on board. I mean, they're all speaking the same language, because everyone knows it's socialism in disguise. And just like, you know, for example, Scientology, they really depend on having a couple of celebrities, Tom Cruise and some of the others, to recruit people and to say, hey, even Tom Cruise is a Scientologist, so it's okay, and it's great, and it's awesome. And you have brands, you know, watches or Nike and many companies, many brands using celebrities, right? People look at, oh, LeBron James is using a dildo vibrator from such and such brand, so I need one too for my butt. But it doesn't work on me, you know. I watch that stuff and I know exactly how it works. And I'm not the target audience anyway. Who wants a LeBron James dildo endorsement, right? But you have the same with climate change. You have Leo out there, and hey, Leo, great actor, great movie. Hey, he is really a prophet of the climate change. And you have any celebrities coming out. You even have the Pope coming out saying climate change this, climate change that. I mean, he's a real socialist douche, that guy. He's not a real Pope. And everybody else, you know, Bill Gates and all the others. And it's because it's globalist, because you're talking about the planet, and everybody can understand the weather, right? The weather is bad, so therefore we can tax people and make it all better. And it's kind of arrogant that people believe they have such power, and that by taxing people it would actually even make a difference. It's retarded. Does it make a difference if you really crack down on pollution in China and India? Of course it makes a difference for the people living there, so they don't have to wear masks anymore. They don't get lung disease. But in terms of the planet, it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't make a difference. I mean, the planet's gone through, you know, massive volcanic eruptions all over the place, with all the ash clouds and lava everywhere, killing everything. And, you know, meteors crashing into our planet, and temperature changes. At one point you had, you know, the whole planet being subtropical, and, you know, hey, it's really hot out here. And animal life, plant life, it adapts. And new creatures, new plant types evolve, and that's nature. That's God. And to think that you can tax a couple of companies and people in France, that this is going to make a difference. I mean, it is so retarded if you really think about it. And that's really the key phrase. Think about it. These people don't think. They have other people do the thinking, celebrities and a consensus of scientists, or the media, or even the Pope. So people don't have to think, it's much easier. And they're just like, wow, if these scientists all agree and all these business owners and even the Pope, they all say it's happening, then it's happening, right? What are you going to say? And it's really like flat earth people and, you know, those kind of giant hoaxes. And it's kind of sad to make people believe that they're bigger than God, and that taxing people is like an act of God, that you can actually change the planet. I mean, the retardation is off the scales. And these people all know it. Al Gore, he knows he's lying to people all the time, making up stories, telling fables. He's a confidence trickster. That's what he's doing with his Tennessee drawl and, you know, folks. And my friend said this, and my other friend called me and he said there was ice on the lake, and this is climate change. You know, if you watch his movie, An Inconvenient Truth, it's all really designed to lie to people. And that's why he's always talking about, my friend called me, and, you know, giving easy to look at graphs and, you know, little anecdotes, and people are like, yeah, I remember when it was raining outside and the rain was more than normal. People start to fill in the gaps and they feel like, yeah, it's really happening. And that's so sad, you know, when you have people out there that should know better, business leaders, celebrities, role models, even a pope lying to people. It's so sad. I mean, it's evil at the same time, and you're taking advantage of people. Why? Because of socialism. These people are all interested in pursuing the power of socialism. And yeah, you mix it in with globalism, it's going to be like a one world. That's really what they want. So the EU expands, then they have China, then our nation was supposed to be socialist by now, melting together with Mexico and Canada, and then that will melt together with the EU later on, and finally everything melts together and you have one court on the planet and one commission, and of course they're all socialists, and they will call themselves the Borg or the Nazis. So I really see it as a failure. Climate change is going to fail. It's just another recycled socialist program with a new hook. But it's not really that new. If you think about it, look at Greenpeace in the 60s, eco-terrorists blowing up pipes coming out of a factory and harassing ships, and, you know, hippies, and, you know, in their zodiacs and whatnot. It's pretty pathetic. But these people are really eco-terrorists, and they will tie themselves to a tree or stuff like that. I mean, they're sabotaging factories or pipelines. I mean, that's not what normal people do. And it's a type of eco-terrorism and, you know, watermelon type socialism. It's green on the outside, you know, nature and whatnot, and red, communist red on the inside. Watermelon socialism. And so that's really what climate change is. But it's mixed in with globalism, because we're talking about the planet now and the weather. And so next maybe they're going to have some kind of a socialist model that's based on space. something to do with space. And you see a lot of liberals, they're really into space voyages. You have Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and other various retards. And it's all like about space. So that'll be decades from now, I guess, some type of socialist model related to space. Okay, so we're gonna be bombarded by meteorites if we don't tax everybody right now. Something like that. Or aliens will invade us if we don't tax people right now. I mean, it'll be something related to space. But right now, climate change is the thing. And they've worked so hard at it. But if you don't have the USA in play with all the money, then where are you going to get the money? And Hillary Clinton, of course, would have pursued climate change. It's socialism. But President Trump really put a stop to it. And good. Another bonus that we got from electing Donald the Great.